Good morning, one and all.
Morning.
Sun's nearly shining. Must be school holidays.
It's raining here in Beaminster, Chris. Raining.
Oh well. See, sun shines on the righteous. It's shining in It's shining in Bridport.
Yeah. Well, it needs to shine on Bridport and to Callie particularly, because she's very righteous and good, and honest and true. So there we are. However, here we are again. Another week of excitement has passed us all by, hasn't it?
Yeah, I must have blinked.
Here we are.
Sport, good cricket, David.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He got a bit tetchy and stupid, didn't he, towards the end, really?
Yeah.
They were acting like public school boys and girls, weren't they? They hitting each other with their handbags. And it's carried on ever since, hasn't it? You know, don't stand too near the pitch. Get off. Don't drag your bag here. Don't tell us what to do. You're only a groundsman. All this nonsense. Then the captain, of course, says he's injured himself.
Yeah.
And the supposed best spinner that England have got, who appeared for one game after 8 years, has now been dropped again. So who knows? And will they play at all in London today? Because it's raining, isn't it, in London?
It's due to rain, isn't it?
Yeah.
The joys of cricket. I mean, they've got to end the series. They've got to end the series with a bit of controversy because it's been a bit calm, really.
It's been far too good and nice, hasn't it? Yeah, far too good. And
all these people that think cricket's a nice, polite game.
It's a bit like the Church of England, really, isn't it?
We're all nice and polite.
Yeah, there we are.
We never get upset with each other and insult one another.
No, never.
No, never.
No, never. No more. However, it was good news that the Church in Wales have elected Devon as the Archbishop, isn't it? Good news. Good news for her. I don't know her at all, if I'm honest, other than the fact I've heard about her from friends who are in that part of the world. They seem to like her. So that's good to her.
And we've had the Lionesses, haven't we? That was last Sunday.
Oh, yeah, marvellous.
That was good.
Yeah, marvellous.
Teamwork. Good old Serena.
Yeah, the game. To be honest, when we went 1-0 down, I didn't bother to turn it on. I thought, knowing Spain, it'll just be ultra defensive and whatever. So when we equalised, I didn't bother to put it on, and I saw the last whatever it was. But what annoys me is all the palaver afterwards. Open top. They've been paid to do a job, and they've done it. I think I'll have an open top bus for you, Callie, around Bridport. That'll cheer you up, wouldn't it? We'll get that bus that comes through Bridport.
Is it the X53 or 52? I can't remember.
we get that bus that comes through Bridport with no roof on it, and you can stand there waving to the mass gatherings, can't you? Hello, I'm here.
All my friends, my friends.
We're making Jesus known. Hello, he's here now on the bus with me.
We could do it. We could do that between Lyme and Weymouth. I mean, that brilliant.
Well, no, we'd all have to get off at Abbotsbury, wouldn't we?
Yes.
That's where we end.
That's true.
We could get to Abbotsbury. We'd have to catch the bus back again.
Repeat the whole exercise on the way back.
That's right.
I'm sure, David. I'm sure you could get permission from the rural dean of Weymouth for us to enter his patch.
Her patch. Yeah, her patch. Yeah, well, yeah, she's a lovely person. We know each other very well. But
Weymouth did a pilgrimage through our patch. We can make Jesus known there.
I just think if you hang around long enough in the Church of England these days, one day you will be the vicar of the whole of Dorset.
Who needs a one-to-one relationship with any?
You will become the vicar of Dorset, and etc. etc. So there we are. Who knows? Anyway, a bit of Luke from chapter 12, reading from verse 13. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me." But he said to him, "Friend, who sent me to be a judge or arbitrator over you?" And he said to them, "Take care. Be on your guard." I think it says. I've lost my place. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. Then he told them a parable. The land of a rich man produced abundantly. And he thought to himself, "What should I do? For I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "I will do this. I will pull down all my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, be merry. But God said to him, You fool, this very night your life is being demanded of you, and the things you have prepared, whose will they be? So it is with those who store up treasures for themselves, but are not rich towards God.
I always enjoy this reading when I've got one of your church wardens in my church, David.
Do you, Chris?
Because for a living, he builds bigger barns.
Tell me why you enjoy it.
Because he builds bigger barns for a living, and it always makes him squirm and feel guilty. That's his business.
Yeah, well, when I was in Shropshire, one of our church wardens there, Charles Brown, he owned a company called Browns of Wem, which was one of Britain's biggest at the time, barn building people. And he used to like this parable because he would see it as an opportunity to spread the gospel. To say, when he went to measure somebody up, he said, "I think you'd have a bigger one because it could be a good year next year."
Well, I mean, building barns, isn't that all about good stewardship?
Well, to a certain extent, of course it is. It's because you could also use this as an argument that nobody should ever save towards a pension. Which actually I don't think is quite a very sensible argument in this country.
There's something about what we do with our gifts, whether we're storing them up for ourselves or for the greater good.
Doesn't it? Yeah, it's about putting God first. But at the same time, it's one of those of you can't just read anything on face value. You've got to read it with a bit more understanding.
Of course, there is another version of this in one of the other Gospels, isn't there? You remember that where your treasures are, there will your
heart be.
There will your heart be also.
Did you like my way I finished a sentence for you?
There we are.
So there is. So yeah, you're right, Callie. I mean, ultimately we can talk all you like about possessions, but it does title that piece as a parable. And of course, parables are always something that we can understand to give us a message for something we find harder to understand. So there's something physical there about barns. What's the spiritual message?
Don't you think it's even deeper than that? If you start at verse 13 about, tell my brother to share with me. A lot of the world's problems all stem from possessions and anger with somebody else because you think they're getting more of a share than you. And you look at the situation in Ukraine, Russia thinks that that's theirs and they should have it, and we're going to take it back because it's ours. You look at the situation in Palestine and Israel. This was our land. God gave it to us. What right have you got? We want you out of here, etc., etc. And it goes on all over the place, doesn't it? And usually it's all been started by human beings who've decided to try and split them up to keep the peace or to make it easier for themselves.
And it says, the parable starts, the land of a rich man produced abundantly. It's not the rich man who produced abundantly.
No.
Whereas the implication, and he thought to himself, oh, what should I do, for I have no place to store my crops? The implication there is that he's not recognizing that is a gift, an abundant gift of God's to be shared. It's not necessarily, it's not all his.
And that's part of the teaching that we aspire to, isn't it? If you've got too much, then give some of it away. And I had this debate at one of our PCCs earlier this week about they were having the annual talk about giving to charities, which I go through every year. And it's a farce because I know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to say, oh yes, at the Harvest Festival we always give the money to Pilsden, and at Christmas we'll give it to the Children's Society, and so on and so on and so on. And I always end up saying, yeah, but that's additional giving to the giving that we're talking about, because that's the service where you've taken the money. And then, of course, we get to the debate. Well, at Christmas we'll give so much to the Sudan because we always do it Christmas Eve, at Christmas Day, and at Christmas Eve we'll split it between the church because we have to buy the candles, don't we, for the candles that they all use. And I'm saying, no, you shouldn't have to. You should just give it away. And if you've told people it's being collected for so and so, you've got to give it to. And on we go. And then they get to the debate of, well, what do we? That's it. We don't need to give anything else. Yes, you do, because the Christian ethos is that between 5 and 10% of your pledge giving should be given towards other causes.
Mm.
Oh no, we need to save that because the roof might fall off. Now, I don't know about you, Chris. You've been in ministry longer than Callie, and not quite as long as me, maybe. But in 30 years of my ministry, I've never had the roof of a church blow off yet. I've had
a church burned down.
Yeah, I've had lead nicked off 2 of them, but never actually has the roof been blown off. I
still know they wear out and need to be replaced.
They do.
I've had to do that on 2, and I've had lead nicked. So,
yeah,
you do need to pay bills.
But you do. But you can budget that into your saving, your account, can't you? In some way. And it's about careful stewardship. You're right, Callie. It's about careful stewardship by saying, we're going to keep this or put that or do whatever. But this story, I'll keep it all for myself. There must be another farmer around who had a bit of a rough year, or hasn't had the same good fortune as myself. Let's give them a bit.
And actually, you can't. You're not going to be in your own strength be able to beat whatever crisis it is that may or may not happen. Just when you were talking about a roof falling off, and I said, well, actually, in my experience, there was a church that burnt down. You can't. I mean, obviously we have insurance, prudent, but you can't. You can't legislate for all events. You just,
Yep.
and actually, God is much more powerful than we are. We can't do it all in our own strength. We can't, we're not supposed to do it in our own strength. We're liberated from that.
Yes.
Well, let's get back to the fact that it's a parable. So really, I don't know that it has much to say really about stewardship in our money. This is a story about our treasures towards God. How much do we pray? How spiritual are we? And if we think we're spiritually healthy,
ready are we to meet our Maker?
Spiritual barns are big because we're spiritually healthy, then we stop praying. So we've got to keep on our toes spiritually all the time. And I always think, actually, even being a priest is a dangerous thing because it's so easy to sit there and think, oh, I'm a priest, therefore I'm closer to God than everybody else because God's chosen me, therefore I'm special. And actually, I think it's the opposite, really, that's the truth. I met somebody yesterday who just moved into this area who's, well, obviously it very quickly came out. He's had some incredibly horrible experiences of priests in the past. And I was just saying to him, well, actually, nothing gives a priest an excuse to be horrible to another human being.
No.
And it's a danger, but his attitude was actually that priest thought he was better than me. So there's a danger to us. And be wary of that, dear viewer. We're always conscious of that we have to get on our knees and pray. And I think, to me, that's the message of this parable. Like you say, it starts with the land of a rich man. Well, spiritually, we're part of God's kingdom.
I think it's wider than that, Chris, because it's not just about us. Everybody should be thoughtful, kind, and appropriate to other people, shouldn't they?
Yes.
Regardless of who you are. It's not just because we're a priest. It's everybody. We have a responsibility to set an example. I would agree.
Yeah, I think the message I have is actually I think it's a greater risk for us to get complacent. Can do.
But the greatest responsibility we have is to lead by example, as you say, our own private prayer and the way we encourage others to see the importance of prayer and that building of relationship with God for themselves. And I'm interested how these various parables and stories fit. If you look, last week we had one about prayer, didn't we? Teach us to
Yes.
pray.
Yeah.
And this week we got this story. The week before, if I remember correctly, it was Martha and Mary, wasn't it? And Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus, wanting to learn about the spiritual. And so we've had a story about wanting to know more about spiritual, but the sister getting upset because she's still busy working. And Joe and I were having a conversation this week because we realised that I'm very much Mary and she's very much Martha. She does all the work and I sit and supposedly, do whatever. And that's always, that's always good. And last week we hear about the disciples being taught it's not just praying for yourselves. That it's about praying for your daily bread, the stuff that refreshes you. And here today we're having another story, a parable about what to do spiritually and what do we do with our spiritual overflowing, as well as about building something bigger. And where is that? Where is the barn of our spirituality? Is it our heart? Is it the way we teach people?
Luke's gospel is so beautiful, isn't it? I love the way that it marries the spiritual and the physical. It's very rooted in the physical, and yet at the same time deeply spiritual. And I love that sort of integrated approach to life, where the physical and the spiritual sort of come together, and actually you live out that spiritual life. It matters on a practical level how you are.
Exactly. So we all strive to be rich towards God. Is that the message, Chris?
I think that's a very good starting point, isn't it? Yeah, we do. And the more we pray, the more we try and build up treasures in heaven. And treasures in heaven is very unselfish.
And is it
joyful and something you want to share?
And is it just about praying, Chris?
Well, no, it's not. It's our whole being, isn't it? I mean, I keep going back to Mother Teresa, isn't it? Preach the gospel, say words if you have to, sort of thing. We're here to be God's kingdom on earth, where all of us, and we're here to spread that love. Like you say, I was talking last week about the Lord's Prayer, prayers and parts of roots and things and foundations of Christianity. Well, if you're going into that category of roots and foundations, what's the fruit of the tree? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control. And I think I've missed one out from Galatians. So,
yeah.
You get the fruit not by forcing yourself to be kind. You get your fruit by getting the roots of the tree right, so that the fruit grows. I've got courgettes in my garden because I planted courgette seeds and I've watered them and I've nurtured them and I've put compost on them and things like that.
And they are delicious, dear viewer.
They are, and rather abundant at the moment. But if I'd sat there and tried to go in my garden shed and say, right, I'm going to make myself a courgette because that's a nice fruit, nothing would happen.
Well, I once planted cabbages, I thought, and got cauliflowers because I mixed the seeds. And I certainly need a bigger barn for those. And but there we are. So, dear viewer, there we are. It is, it's important. Don't store up treasures for yourselves. Be kind, be good, be understanding, persevere in prayer, and God will walk alongside us in our endeavours as we try to share with others. And I think I'm looking forward in these stories, Chris, because you were talking about roots and things. Jesus did talk about roots and what to do if something didn't grow, didn't he?
Yeah, still think my pear tree's going to come down this winter.
Oh,
3 years with no pears.
Have you done Jesus' trick though? Put any manure around it?
Oh, yes.
I didn't put manure on it, but it did have a good dose of water.
Good.
To get it into the roots.
I'm looking forward to the story where we have to discuss what we do with manure, dear viewer. Keep watching. One day it might come up.
As I say, the spiritual and the earthy.
Exactly. There we are.
If you want us to talk about manure, give a thing in the comments, dear viewer. If we get enough comments requesting it, I'm sure we'll
Chris
find
and
the
David
passage
are definitely your experts on manure.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've talked a lot of, whatever. There we are, over the years. Been good to see you, dear. We're not. I can't say it's been good for you to see us, dear viewer. You may have other thoughts. Been good to be with you again. And we look forward to seeing you all again next week. Good to see you. Bye-bye.
Good to see you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.